Hi, it's Mark here with Top Local. We're here with Mr. Bernie Pawlik, Pawlik Automotive. We're doing the Pawlik Automotive podcast, and we're talking trucks. Hey, Bernie, how you doing this morning?
Doing very well.
So this is a 2007 Ford F150, one of your favorites. You guys see a lot of Fords.
We do.
And this is a brake repair. What was going on with this Ford vehicle?
So this vehicle came to our shop, towed in. Actually, there was the owner was driving it. His description, I heard there was a clunking sound. The vehicle didn't move properly afterwards, so had it towed in, and we managed to drive it into the shop. It was difficult, but we managed to drive it into the shop, put it up on the hoist, and inspected it. And what we found was a grotesquely, seriously worn front left brake. They basically had been worn so badly, metal on metal, the pad had jumped out of place, jammed up, and between the caliper bracket and the rotor, and the vehicle just would barely move.
Okay, well, the obvious question is, would there have been some noise before it was that bad to actually freeze the wheel, and wouldn't they have heard the noise?
They would have definitely heard the noise, and there would have been a lot of noise, and probably quite a long time. I don't know how long, and I never had a chance to ask the owner, how long did you hear noise for? But some people aren't quite so tuned to noises sometimes, or maybe there's multiple people driving the vehicle and didn't really think too much to look further at it. Let's just right into some photos right now. We can have a look at the details of what we saw here. So there. This is what we found when we took the brakes apart. This is the inside of the brake rotor, the really badly worn edge. And this is the inner brake pad. This is what's left of the outer brake pad. There's still some friction material left on this pad. All you can see, some of it's flaked right off. But this is the pad. It's worn metal on metal. And these little springy clips, which normally pop out, they've been almost welded into place. You can just see it's been worn for a long time like this and making a lot of noise. It would have made a lot of noise along with this. There's a close-up of the pad. It's kind of interesting actually looking at this metal that's just transferred from the brake rotor onto the pad. It's almost comical in terms of what was going on there. And then here's again a closer view of the rotor itself. So I know we showed pictures on other podcasts and videos. You can see a nice, smooth, clean rotor. This surface is normally a very nice, smooth, shiny metal. Doesn't look ground up like that. So there's our picture show for the day.
So one of the things that I wonder if people realize is that brakes get extremely hot, even just in regular driving. Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the more you use them, the hotter they get. So yeah, if you're going down a steep hill, for instance, that's why, they say when you learn to drive, you should pump your brakes. You don't want to hold them on continuously because the heat builds up and builds up and builds up. Whereas if you pump the brakes, so you're going down a steep hill, you put the brake on, you slow the vehicle down, let your foot off the brake, then vehicle will speed up, but it will allow the brakes to cool a little bit, and then it'll heat up again. And that's kind of what you want to do.
And that heat buildup is what's causing that, almost like soldering or welding the two metals together onto the caliper like that. Is that right?
Well, exactly. I mean, what the way brakes are meant to work is you have your brake disc, your rotor, and that's the hard metal piece. And then the brake pad is a softer friction material, which is basically a sacrificial item. It's meant to wear at a certain rate, and between the two, they dissipate heat. And the faster you can dissipate the heat, the faster the car stops, which is why you have like a high performance vehicle. You might have a brake rotor that's, that big on a car that really doesn't need it, but it's like a 1.5 feet in diameter with holes drilled through it and slots, and that dissipates the heat really quickly. So that's why, like a Lamborghini or something would have a huge brake rotor like that. But yeah, the heat dissipation is key for brakes, and the faster you get rid of the heat, the quicker you can stop.
So here's the hard question, I guess. Is this a vehicle that you regularly service?
Yeah, we service this vehicle regularly, usually probably about once a year, and we inspect it and look it over and advise on anything. And the owner of this car is really good. I mean, he'll fix and repair whatever's needed.
So I guess the obvious question is, how is it that the brakes wore so badly in just the time between your last inspection and it being towed in?
Yeah, well, I'd say there are things that, like, the thing about an inspection is that it's a snapshot of what's there now. So we visually inspect a lot of things. We move things, wiggle things, move them, turn them. Things like brakes we measure, so we can say, hey, you've got 5 millimeters in these brake pads. You should get about a year's life left out of these. But what happens between the time of the inspection and, say, the next service, which is now, is there's certain factors like weather. We've just gone through a winter, and and then as a car gets older, things that are fine now, so like a brake caliper, we can look at it, it's fine now. Something will happen, it'll start sticking and seize up, and that's probably what happened in the case of these brakes. We've gone through a winter, there's harsher road conditions, some salt in the road, the vehicle's getting on in age, and the caliper seizes up. So these are the kind of things that happen. And so even though you have your vehicle inspected and there's a certain time frame where we expect to do things, you have to keep your ear open as a vehicle owner, go, hey, wait, that noise is happening, we need to do something about it. I mean, I've had vehicles of my own where I look at them regularly, and all of a sudden I'm driving, that doesn't feel right. It's like a brake caliper seized up, and it just sometimes happens without warning. So you just got to deal with it. But it's good to have an inspect, of course, regularly, and all things going properly, then we can time everything. But sometimes things do happen in between that we can't predict.
And how long do brakes typically last on these 150s?
Well, good for usually 50,000 kilometers for sure. Sometimes maybe, upwards closer to 100. But yeah, I mean, certainly 50,000 for certain. Assuming nothing's going to happen like a caliper seizing. These are kind of like under normal wear conditions. And it also depends on what you're using the vehicle for. If you're hauling heavy weights like trailers and things, or you're loading it full of weight, that'll cause your brakes to wear much quicker than it will. And if you're driving down steep hills, again, a big difference. If you live in the prairies and you're in the flat all the time, the brakes will last a lot longer than they will if you live in San Francisco. You're going down those hills.
So maintenance is pretty critical on any vehicle, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, regular inspections, and yeah.
When you're talking about another thought that occurred to me. So when you're talking about a caliper seized, basically that means that the brake, it's running like the brake is on all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So the caliper, just to explain, is basically it's the piece that clamps the brake pad to the brake rotor. And when you push the brake pedal down, there's fluid, puts pressure on the fluid, and that causes the caliper. There's pistons and sliding pieces, and they will clamp the brake pads on. So if the caliper seizes, then what happens is it doesn't release. So like you said, it's like the brake's on all the time, and that wears, you talk about heat, I mean, that wears the brakes out really fast. So usually you'll notice, when a caliper starts seizing, another thing you'll notice is sometimes the vehicle will feel like it lacks power, because you're actually, trying to force a sticking wheel to move. Another thing you'll notice sometimes as well is the vehicle will pull, like you put the brake on, instead of it, just going straight, it'll pull to the right or the left. And that can often indicate a seized caliper, at least on the front.
So there you go. If you're looking for maintenance on your vehicle, any type of vehicle in Vancouver, the guys to see are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112. Check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. Hundreds of articles on there. YouTube channel, Pawlik Auto Repair. Hundreds of videos on there on all makes and models and problems and maintenance issues for all makes of cars. Or our our iTunes new podcast. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark.